Teen Geto is the second variation of Geto in Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade and one of the 3 hidden inventory characters to be introduced into the game. His type is green and his role is that of a debuffer, even though he can also fulfill the role of a secondary DPS. He can deal combined damage and actually apply debuffs for both types of damage to the enemies as well. What makes Teen Geto strong though? Well, he's one of the best debuffers in the game. As I mentioned just now, he can apply debuffs for physical technique damage and curse technique damage, which makes him extremely versatile and very helpful, not only because you can very easily pair him up with characters that either focus on one of the 2 damage types, but also because he can help out characters that deal combined damage a lot. Just like movie Zero Geto, this one also revolves around cursed energy. He can not only recover it every turn, when he beats enemies and when he activates his ultimate, but his skills get much better the higher his cursed energy is. If it is over a specific amount that is listed on the skill, then he provides even more. From his ultimate, he is actually allowed to increase his own maximum cursed energy by 40 for 4 turns, which is actually nuts and can allow him to go over the threshold that majority of the characters in the game can, and on top of that he deals combined damage, but to one selected enemy unfortunately, not to everyone on the field. His skill 1 is actually very nice for no cursed energy usage because the higher his cursed energy, and specifically if it is over 40, then he can increase his own damage, and if it is over 30, his own critical hit rate. And this is another skill just like the ultimate, where we see him deal combined damage to one selected enemy. With skill 2, he can deal combined damage and then increase a selected enemy's cursed technique damage received, and if cursed energy is 35 or above, he increases it even further. So this skill goes very well with the part of Geto that deals cursed technique damage, but also with DPS characters that do the same. While his skill 3 is very similar, but for physical technique damage. Essentially the same, but the cursed energy needs to be 30 or above, not 35 or above, which is not really a huge deal. Both of them very easily manageable with this Geto, and both debuffs from both skills actually last for 4 turns, which is extremely good. Great debuffer, one of the best in the game on release, and as we can see, all of his abilities can deal damage, but I wouldn't really use him as my main DPS. He would be much better as the secondary DPS while also debuffing for the best possible damage coming from the primary damage dealer. For his skill priority, I would definitely prioritize skills 2 and 3, depending I guess on what your main DPS provides damage wise. If it is physical technique damage, I would upgrade skill 3 first. If it is curse technique damage, I would go with skill 2. If it is combined, you can pick and choose. After these 2, we go with the ultimate of course, and finally skill 1. For his best recollection bits, we can go one of 2 ways. Number 1 is to focus on boosting his combined damage, and from the recollection bit passive, either get some cursed energy regeneration or even more damage boosting. So some great examples is his own signature recollection bit, I see then die. Adult time, one of the best recollection bits for combined damage. The one within Umaki, nimble cursed speech user, which resembles I see then die. I guess it's a bit worse though, still does the job perfectly fine. Grant exorcism, another one that boosts combined damage, and of course for a free-to-play option you can go with the one from the Gojo event, one of the very first free-to-play recollection bits we got in the game with Gojo solo camping. The second path you can take with his recollection bit is to use something that can either boost his own damage when he activates his ultimate, or boosts the damage for the rest of the team. You can go with Norito Shikamo's archery lessons, a great bit, and also for a free-to-play option, someone like me, the one we got from the Norito Shikamo map event, and can help deal more curse technique damage. for the rest of the team. That is, of course, provided you have some curse technique damage dealers outside of Geto. And for an SR beat, you can actually use perfect synchronization, which is always a great option to use for your debuffers, and Teen Geto is no exception. For his best team formations, you mainly want to focus on using him as a secondary DPS / debuffer in the team, and then you can use one support, another support if you feel like you can boost your DPS even further, or maybe even a secondary debuffer alongside Geto, and of course your primary DPS. For some specific examples, without using the other two hidden inventory units in the teams, you can of course use SR Yaga as your main support. Then you can go with someone like Rare Yuki, who can help with curse energy regeneration, so he does go well with Geto, and if your main DPS deals curse technique damage, Yuki's ultimate is extremely helpful. If you have SSR Momo, of course, definitely use her, she's awesome in almost every team. And then either Hollow Purple Gojo or Standard Banner Gojo both work great with Geto. You just need to focus on activating his skill 2 for Gojo's ultimate damage. He can of course work with the new hidden inventory units, both Gojo and Toji. For example, you can use Toji and focus on a physical technique team with skill 3 of Geto's being the most important one, and then you can once again use SR Yaga, SR Nanami or whatever support you want, alongside Rare Ijitsu even, to help with physical technique damage boosting. Gojo has combined damage in his kit, but the ultimate focus is on curse technique damage, so Geto's skill 2 is important, just like for the other two Gojo units. And then you can use debuffers like SSR Yaga or SSR Incomplete Domain Megumi, or simply the basic supports to just perfectly complement your main two characters. To go closer to monocolor teams, you can also focus on the red typing if you have Yuta, and combine Geto with either Rare Inumaki, SR Yaga or SR Nanami for boosting of course. You can even actually use Geto with Standard Banner Nanami when he gets his buff, and then use SR Momo for example, and another support like SR Yaga, or perhaps even Rare Ijitsu if you want to go full green, in case that is the weakness of the boss you are about to face. I also realized I am using two Nanami units in this team formation. Ignore that, just replace Nanami, the SR one, with someone else. For other or future options, you can of course use any current DPS alongside Geto, since once again, he can debuff for both types of damage. For example, both SSR Yuji we currently have can be used, and the same goes for both SSR Kugisaki. In the future, when we get more Kugisaki units, the green ones specifically, and when we even get a first anniversary Yuji, these can work with Geto too. Free-to-play Mahito can work with Geto, and you can even work towards a mono-green team with them. SR Yuki is also an option, even though I don't think he's the best one. If you don't have better supports to use, he can be the one to help. The second SSR Inumaki, the blue version, can also help as a secondary debuffer, and of course you can use the featured banner SSR Nanami, the yellow type one, instead of the standard banner one as your main DPS. And it goes without saying, but yeah, Sukuna works as well. The thing is that Domain Expansion Gojo is not a great combination with this Teen Geto, because they kind of fulfill the same role. Technically yes, you can use them together, maybe Geto will take the role more of a primary DPS / debuffer, but the combo is definitely not as optimal as others you can find out there for these two units. Generally, you have a lot of options for Teen Geto because he is extremely versatile. An important question might be which version of Geto is actually better, the Movie Zero one or the Hidden Inventory one. Before Movie Zero Geto got the buff, I would definitely say Teen Geto is better. Now, it is situational. It also depends on your primary DPS. If your primary DPS deals physical technique damage, Teen Geto is better. If for any reason, maybe depending on your supports, you want combined damage, Teen Geto is once again better. But if you want curse technique damage, Movie Zero Geto is better, and both of them can work with a curse technique damage dealer alongside them. I think If you do have Movie Zero Geto, you shouldn't really spend your cubes on this Geto. It's not really an insane upgrade. Yes, he might be situationally better in some scenarios, but overall it is better for you to save cubes and either prefer another hidden inventory unit to go for or save for the main expansion Gojo and maybe even Sukuna. Overall, even though I think this Geto is extremely cool and I absolutely love the artwork too, he's probably the most skippable out of the 3 hidden inventory units, especially if you already have another SSR debuffer. Still great though, and if he gets added to the standard banner at some point, that will be awesome as well, because all players will have a chance to get him without pulling for his featured SSR banner. That was my full character guide on Teen Geto though. Tell me down in the comments below, what do you think of the character? Are you going to pull for him or simply save your cubes for someone else? If you enjoy my character guides, I would really appreciate showing it with a like, and of course subscribe for more Phantom Parade content. And as always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.